Outer Edge Games.
So, some of you might know that along with my writing and drawing and playing of Magic and whatnot, I also am a game developer, very amateur game developer. And I'd like to, based on the inspiration from some other game developers I know, namely Haunted Castle Games and their game Genesis Battle of Champions, who does a lot of interaction with their fan base, I thought I would run a quick little presentation on my trials and tribulations of developing my card game, Cards of War. It's not a TCG. It is a buy a box, single box type game. Not a living card game. That's actually a copyright of Fantasy Flight or whatever their company is called. I can't remember now. That's not Fantasy Flight. Whatever their company is called. It's a copyright of theirs. So yeah, this is not that. This is its own little animal. Just a card set, I guess similar to Flux, things like that, with expansions and all that. So, first, what I did wrong, because I did do some things very, very wrong. I was very, very private in my development of this game. I did not let anyone know about it. I kept very hush-hush about it. I did a few little, preview type things through Instagram, Facebook, and I think even on YouTube and whatnot, but never mentioned the name of it, so I didn't build any hashtag stuff, anything like that. It was very, secretive. I didn't let anyone know I was doing a card game. I was still in the mindset that if people found out, if people knew, they would be eager to take my ideas and things like that. I've since come to the realization through reading a few other online articles and talking to some people on some Facebook groups and whatnot that that is not a thing in this community. And if it is, well, maybe your idea wasn't as good as you thought, and someone else has made a better version of your idea. I guess that's the wrong way to look at it. Not that that's the case. It's that you're not really stealing from others, especially if you get your name out there right away, because everyone knows it's yours. They know that you're the one that came up with this idea first, and everyone can point to it and say, hey, that looks a lot like that thing that Jeff designed. That sort of thing. As of right now, no one had heard of this game, so anyone could have jumped online, grabbed something of mine, and pushed it out as their own, and they would have more claim to it than I would have, because no one would have known any different. I developed in a complete vacuum with no one else's input, meaning that I did this all on my own. I top to bottom, the gameplay, play testing, art, everything, I did it without any interaction with anyone. I didn't even show anyone any of my layouts, even my close personal friends and whatnot, to get their opinions on things, which in retrospect is not a good idea. I should have, much like presenting this out to the general public earlier, I should have involved my friends and family and whatnot, at least, at bare minimum, to get their opinion on things and a bit of feedback on it. I did a single playtest, in all fairness, with my family, using filler artwork, placeholder artwork, and it failed miserably. Out of a family of 4, only one of them kind of got and understood how the game worked, and the other 2 were bored. They did not enjoy it at all, and I persevered still, which is good. There is, a positive to perseverance, but it, probably wasn't a great idea to just keep pushing forward, unrelenting, not like understanding that, hey, maybe some of the fundamentals here need to change because someone's not liking this thing, and I'm convinced it's the best thing since sliced bread. Clearly, there was a fault somewhere in there that needed to be addressed, and I ignored it and just plowed through thinking I had the greatest idea. I also did all the artwork, card design, and mechanics, everything, without a proper playtest. I did, like I said, use that one failed playtest attempt with filler artwork, but at that point I had already started some of the artwork. I spent just about a year doing all of the artwork for all the cards. There are, I think, almost 100 cards in the set, if I'm not mistaken, and I did all the artwork up front before I even had a finalized play structure to the game. I did all the artwork, layouts, all the card layouts. This was before I started using things like Nandeck and things like that. So this was all done manually in design programs. And anytime I made a small change, for example, you see the 7 and the 8, things like that in these cards, those were originally very small and incorporated into the title, where you see Corrosive Ooze and Quest-Loving Swiftblade. They were incorporated into that title as a small number. You couldn't read it. So I did take that feedback, but that feedback came after the first failed playtest attempt, and it wasn't until I had finished all the artwork and all the layout and ordered a sample of these cards that I found out that, yeah, that person was right. You couldn't read those numbers. There was also a color change. I had to change one of the colors from yellow because you couldn't see that color. I'm sure some of the colors still aren't great for colorblind and whatnot. I didn't get that far involved because I didn't think of it. I didn't seem to care, which is really stupid. You really got to care about your audience when you get into game design. I overpromised also. On the little bit I did promote online, I promised that I would have backstories to everything and all kinds of, hidden things and extra things. I completely overpromised on the little bit that I did promote the game, and that never came to fruition. Each one of these little quote lines, like you see on the quest-loving Swiftblade there, on the Corrosive Ooze, these were supposed to develop backing stories to all of the characters and factions in this game. They had no bearing on the game itself. It was more just flavor text to kind of interest people in it. And I overpromised that. That has not been done for anything yet. What I did right, because I did do a couple things right, I think. So I did maintain momentum throughout development by posting artwork. So while I didn't promote it as Cards of War, I did post my artwork continuously as I did it. Some progress shots, some completed shots. Towards the end, I did start including some of the card frames and whatnot because I got a little bit more bold and understood that I kind of have to do that at some point. So I did maintain the momentum by getting that small feedback loop from, I guess, my fans or whatever you want to call it. That small feedback loop of, yes, this looks interesting. I think it's something that I'm interested in or whatever. Or, even just friends and family liking things. Gave you that little self-confidence to keep going with it. No matter how much I messed up before, at least I kept going with the artwork side of it, which is something it helps, a creative keep going when they do see that feedback loop. I did also decide for my first foray into game design to take a very, very simple game concept and expand on it. So this game is based on the very plain, simple game of war. As I'm sure most of you are familiar with the game of war, where you play a card, and your opponent plays a card, whoever's got the higher number wins the pot sort of thing. I just expanded on it. It's a little bit more in depth. By basing it on that sort of a card game, I was also able to expand to many other types of card games. So this game is playable in many, many formats. I've recently learned also, so I guess that's a detriment, don't try and be all things to all people. So while the game can be played in many different formats, the main goal of it is to be played like a war-style game with a bunch of extra add-on bonus stuff and a little bit extended play on that. If you when it does come to fruition, you will see the base game as well as instructions for how to play other common games, such as Pig and a couple other games like that, incorporating the extra action cards to make that game a little bit more fun than just a basic 52 card deck would do. I immersed myself in gaming culture before it was too late. So I did catch myself. Like I was saying, I caught myself before I got too far gone. I had, maybe a handful of cards left to draw. I had already ordered one. No, did I order that? Nope. I had finished all the artwork. I had ordered a play set. I wasn't happy with the quality of it, and then I started immersing myself in gaming culture a little bit, joining up with Board Game Design Lab through their Facebook page and through their other app and all that. And it did give me a good basis of information that led me actually to create this, between them and Haunted Castle Games, Assad there and his speaking directly to his clients, to his fan base, inspired me to do this sort of thing, which, I got immersed in it, and now I feel like I can present about it and talk a little bit about my foibles and follies, about my foibles and follies and some of my successes. So I did do that before it got too late, before I actually launched a Kickstarter, failed miserably, and then ran back with my tail between my legs. What I will do next time. So I do have other games in the process of being developed. This one hasn't launched yet, so there's nothing out there officially for this game in production as of yet. Hopefully there will be soon. I'm kind of waiting for the whole thing to settle down with shipping and production and all that stuff. I think it's a North American manufacturer. At least they have a North American site, probably manufactured overseas. I don't know for sure, but they do very good quality stuff. That's what I'd be using. Much smaller print runs. I don't expect this to be like a breakout hit all over the place. But what I will do next time is I will promote the product name throughout development. It's key to market. Get the name out there. Get people saying Cards of War. Get people recognizing the name. Even if it's just constantly hitting someone's Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok page or whatever. They hear Cards of War. At some point, someone will say, "Hey, I think I've heard that name, Cards of War." They might recognize it when they see it on a Kickstarter or at a local game store or something of that nature. I would also look for outside support. There is no reason to develop in a vacuum. The board game community, from my understanding, is very, very open to helping and supporting others. I should have looked at that ahead of time and taken advantage of that. Had I posted this in board game forums, I would have gotten tons of feedback. I'm confident of that, and I would not have had most of the stumbling blocks I hit along the way. Some of the advice I probably wouldn't have taken. Being green, I would have said, nope, I know better than them. But at least I would have had something there that I could look back on and say, yes, maybe I should have followed what they said. Maybe I should have listened. The peer network is great that I've experienced so far in the board game community, and I wish I had tackled that a bit sooner. I would also playtest much, much more. And this is like an ongoing joke in the community, is always playtest, playtest, playtest. I would have playtested more. Would it have changed the core functionality and concepts of the game? No. Would it have made my layouts and designs a little bit easier and quicker? Yes, because I would have noticed problems like the numbers being too small, the text being unreadable, the artwork being bland, things like that. I would have noticed this sooner instead of developing the entire card set and then having to go back, I believe twice. I think I did 3 iterations total, so 2 reiterations, revamps of the entire card set, top to bottom, to get them to look the way they did, changing fonts and sizes and coloring and whatnot. I probably spent more time doing that almost than the actual artwork for these cards, which is just insane because I didn't take the time to play test it with mock-ups and whatnot. And of course, what I've been saying all along, research, research, research. I would have engaged this community more. I would have learned more from them, and I would have worked harder to get this product to be the best it could be out the gate. That's not to say it would be perfect, but at least my first attempt at it would have been a lot closer to the final version than it actually was. Now, what's next? Because there's always something next. I'm planning to launch this game. I don't know when it'll be. Again, waiting for things to die down a little bit with the shipping costs and whatnot in the industry. It's just going crazy right now. I was planning and hoping to launch it this fall. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. It'll probably be a winter project, a January, February launch date for a spring release. I don't know if that's ideal for this kind of a game, but really I'll be looking for a bare minimum to get a small production run done, get some copies to distribute to local game stores, things like that. It's not like I'm looking for thousands and thousands of copies of this to be in everyone's home. I know it's a first attempt. I know that's not a reality, so I'm aiming low, hoping for the best, but aiming a little low. Living within my means, I guess, is the best way to put it. And I think that's somewhat reasonable. I think I can attain that. I will also continue to further develop my other games. If you do look at my YouTube channel and whatnot, you might see some of these games. I have posted some. I believe I've started using their names, things like that. It's very minimal. I took a little bit of a hiatus for a bit with some stuff that was going on. But I will be getting back to developing those and promoting them, trying to learn from my mistakes on Cards of War and getting those names and that information out there so people recognize it and are familiar with at least the existence of the product. So when it comes time to say, hey, now that you know this product exists, I'm ready to get you a copy, you might be more likely to lay down your cold, hard-earned cash to get that copy saying, I'm familiar with this, I trust this guy, he's all over the place. And that pretty much is the end of it. I thank you very much for watching and listening to me rant and rave. Sorry if it was a little quick. I just know that people aren't going to sit here and listen to me spew on for an hour or more. I could talk a lot more about it, and I'm happy to. Please comment, like, follow, all that other stuff, and get in touch with me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. I do have the game on Tabletop Simulator, so if you have Tabletop Simulator and you would like to run a game against me to see what it's like, by all means let me know. Schedules are a little hectic right now, as I'm sure it is for everyone, but I'm sure we can find time to jam a game or two, and at least you can see what it's like, and maybe I can show you some of my other games, and we can just have some fun in the community. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.